All right, welcome everyone. We are going live. We'll just give it a minute for folks to come on over. All right, feel free to drop in the chat and introduce yourself so that we can go ahead and get started in our session today. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to this Tech Career Workshop. I'm going to briefly introduce myself here in just a second, highlighting some of my experience. We would love to have you drop in chat, who you are and say hello to the crowd. That would be awesome. The goal of this session is to explore how to leverage generative AI, such as ChatGPT, which is what we will use today, to revolutionize our data workflows and how to incorporate them, hopefully to speed up our processes. So welcome, welcome. I'm starting to see lots of folks kind of coming on in. So go ahead and introduce yourself as we move forward. All right, so basically, who am I? I'm Candace Roberts. It was nice to meet all of you on chat here. So I do lead a business intelligence and outcome analytics teams at a company called Vanco Payments, which is we do payment processing and software primarily for the nonprofit industry, such as churches and education. So I use my skill set from that to be able to lead this awesome team of folks over at Vanco to turn complex data into actionable insights. I've also teach for General Assembly, teaching some of their boot camp courses, 650 plus classes under my belt at the moment. So I do a lot of things for them as well, the teaching, the content, et cetera, et cetera. I am a lifetime learner. I am always learning something new, and I'm so happy to be able to share some of my experiences with you all today with data analytics and GenAI. So welcome, everyone. All right, so here's the game plan for today. So we are going to do a dive into how GenAI can enhance the stages of a data analytics workflow. We're going to start with the basics. We're going to start with, hey, what is GenAI and why it could be a game changer in your workflows? And then we're going to look at where it shines. What can you do for you? And because nothing's perfect, there are challenges that come along with it. I'm going to also share with you a demo. Tech in Motion here has shared a link if you're interested with a data set that we're going to provide and work through in ChatGPT, as well as prompts that we're going to work through. So you're welcome to copy and paste the prompts as we go through this as well in our demo. By the end, hopefully, you're going to have some solid takeaways to get started with GenAI in your own work. How's it sound? Sound good to everyone? If so, let's go ahead and jump in. If you have questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat. I will try to answer them the best way I can. All right, so let's talk about what is GenAI. You may or may not have heard this term, but GenAI basically is this like new technology coming on the market. That's actually been around for a while, but it's basically a type of artificial intelligence that doesn't just crunch out numbers and statistics. It actually creates things. So you think things like text, images, summaries, prediction. It can help me with code. It can help improve my workflow processes. What sets it apart is that it can generate content based on patterns. So it learns as I go through, kind of like how if you create something new and then you want to continue to improve it, or if you create something in the past and you want to build upon it, GenAI can help with tasks similar to that. For example, let's say you're writing a really long report. GenAI can help do things like summarize your data, create visualizations for you. In our case, we're going to show you how it can spit out some Python code that could be used in other applications. So it's like having an extra pair of hands, but they're digital and they don't get tired and they're on call 24/7. The key thing here is it's not magic. It works based on data that it's trained on. So it's as good as the data you feed it. So just remember that when we're doing things like with ChatGPT or any kind of Gen AI tool, it's a garbage in, garbage out will still apply. Okay, so that applies in any data workflow. All right, applications of Gen AI in the analytics space. So Gen AI can get pretty cool as we go through it. It makes analytics a little bit more accessible, especially for people who are just learning. I'm seeing in chat, there's a few people who are students and trying to work through, different parts of their career paths here. So imagine being able to just ask your data questions in plain English, like, hey, what's last quarter sales trends? We can do that with something called natural language queries or processing. In ChatGPT, for example, this is just getting good with prompts. So I can get these answers without actually writing code in a lot of ways. So it can handle a lot of the boring stuff. We can leverage things with Generative AI to do things like automated reports. It can help us build visualizations that we can use to create things like dashboards, things for a slide deck. So think about it this way, no more late nights putting those slide decks together to present to senior leadership. ChatGPT can help you pull some of those things together. On top of all that, it's really great for spotting things like trends, running predictive scenarios. For example, you might be able to simulate how changes in customer behavior might affect sales next year. So that's just a few of the applications that we could potentially use here with Gen AI. What are the benefits? The benefits of Gen AI here. So why should we even care about this? First of all, Gen AI is a massive time saver in a lot of ways. All those repetitive tasks like cleaning data or building reports or visualizations can help us there. That's part of the automation. Second, it can help us uncover things like insights faster. Instead of spending hours and hours digging through the numbers, you can focus on those numbers mean and what to do about them. But let's not forget also accessibility. Again, you can see that it's available 24/7. But even if you're not a data pro and you're not like a SQL or a Python expert, Gen AI can make it easy for anyone on your team to explore and understand data without a fancy degree. We can definitely do those things. Now, we will be using ChatGPT, so I will let you know that there are some caveats there, is that you probably should not put your company's sensitive data into something like a ChatGPT, but your organization may have similar tools that are not open source or public that you could leverage within your organization. So what are some of the challenges of when we're working with Gen AI and analytics? There's always a catch, right? Every time you get something, new and fancy, there's always going to be a catch. So Gen AI is not perfect. It can make mistakes. It can cause things to do things like hallucinations where the prompt is too general. And so it just fills in the blank with what it thinks it should be, and it's not actually what it should be. And so when we deal with prompting, we want to make sure we're giving it enough information of what we're looking for so it doesn't hallucinate or lead to biases. So privacy is also like a really big thing here. So if you're working with sensitive data, you may need to make sure it's locked down tight. You need to either use tools that your company has approved or whatnot, or you need to use anonymized data in order to get this done. So as we move through the challenges of Gen AI, some of the things that will happen here is adoption can be a little tricky. Sometimes, the users either overtrust or don't trust what's coming in. So resistance from users to be unfamiliar with Gen AI outputs, there might be a little bit of resistance there. And then skills gaps here. Teams might need to upskill the appropriate use and interpretation of different AI tools out on the marketplace. So let's do a demo. How about we do that? We walk through some basic data analytics workflow to get through this. So we want to see it in action. So I'm going to open up ChatGPT. I actually have a paid version of ChatGPT that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to run through these 5 steps. I'm going to input a data source. I'm going to have it help me clean the data. We're going to get some AI-driven analyses, have it offer us some suggestions. We're going to generate some visualizations, draft a narrative, and do some recommendations, working through the entire workflow. So let me hop over here to ChatGPT. I'm already logged in. And I'm going to go ahead and I want to load my data first. So I need to bring this in. So now if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, you cannot add a file yet, but I have a paid version. So I'm going to go ahead and choose an attached file. I'm just going to upload this from my computer screen, and let me find my raw data here, my sales data. You can also read from like a URL if you wanted to pull it from a web application or a different drive. So I have my data loaded here. And so I'm going to actually say, give this a prompt. And I'm just going to copy and paste my prompts for time savings directly out of the prompt list that we provided for the workshop. So my first prompt is I'm going to ask this, please load the provided data set, sales data raw, CSV data set, and clean it. Ensure the columns are properly formatted, handle any missing or inconsistent data, and prepare the data set for analysis. So I'm going to run this first and let's see what it gives us. And off it goes. So it does show me a snippet of the file that I'm loading, and it's going to go through some analysis. And it didn't take very long for this to happen. So you can see as it's going through, it's reading through and saying, hey, here's the following columns that you have. Here's our date formatting. Make sure it does that. It removed any duplicates, handled some missing values from the best way it knows how, standardizing some different columns, validating the data consistency here to verify things, handled categorical columns such as region, product, and category. It's dropping anything that is irrelevant for an analysis. And now it's going to go ahead and do those steps to clean it. Okay. So with a prompt and a data set, it's telling me it is ready to be cleaned. So what I want to do is, because I want to make sure that I can do a little bit of basic exploratory analysis on the data set before I start actually getting into having it suggest hypotheses or having it suggest different types of things that I might want to do, I'm going to go ahead and ask it to do some basic exploratory analysis on this data set. Let me just drop my prompt so y'all can see it, including some summary statistics, looking for missing values, and suggest any additional columns that might be added. And yes, you can drop the data into the prompt. I just happen to load a file in this case. So let's go ahead and start this EDA, exploratory data analysis. And we'll give it a second for it to do its analyzation, do its analyzing thing. And see what it brings back for us. All right. So it's giving me some summary statistics. So I have 1,000 rows in my data set because I just chose something very small. It's giving me some key ranges such as mean, max, and min for different columns in my data set, such as quantity sold, total sales, and price per unit. It says it has no missing values, so that I'm grateful for that. It doesn't have any missing values. Oops. And then it's going to go ahead and add a couple of columns for us. It's like, hey, profit margin might be good here. Let's go ahead and add that. And then sales per customer, that might be a good one to add too. And so categorize it. So then it also gives us further suggestions if we wanted to explore those. So I'm grateful that these are additional columns that are added, but I want to make sure that it's adding what I would like. So we can actually ask this to show us the data set, but I'm going to go ahead and have it add some new columns first before I do that. So the next prompt that I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what, I would really like profit margin, customer segments, and seasonal indicators. And then I want it to show me. So I want it to take a breath between each one and show me how each new column was created. So by asking something like a chat GPT to take a breath allows it to slow down just enough so it doesn't come across with those hallucinations, and that way it'll actually perform the way we're looking for it. So let's go ahead and run this. All right, so it's showing me the data. It explains my new columns that are coming in play here, how it did it. Using the different customer segment methods is telling me why or which one, like bronze, silver, gold, how it's determining that, determining my seasons, etc. So from here, if I wanted to, I could tell it, go ahead and show me the first 5 rows to validate these column additions. Why? I want to make sure it actually did it before I start my analysis. So I'm validating what I'm doing here. Now, just because this is doing it, I'm kind of flying through this. During each step in the real world, I might take a little bit of time to just go ahead and make sure that what it's doing is actually doing it for me. All right. So now that we've done our EDA, I wanted to start generating some AI-driven analysis. So I'm going to ask this chat GPT session that I'm in to suggest a hypothesis or problem statement to be able to analyze this data set, acting as a data analyst. So I've specified that I wanted to act like a data analyst to extract key business trends. And I want it to have a concise list. So I'm trying to make sure that it actually is showing me a very concise list of what it's going to do. And it will do it. It's going to give me some suggestions. Regional performance, seasonal trends, customer segmentation, etc. So it gives me a whole bunch of options. So I think what I would like to do is reading through this list using my own knowledge and expertise is I'm like, you know what, this is great. But what I would like to do is I want to go ahead and start conducting some visualizations, but I think I want to do a combination of these things. I think I want to look at regional and product profitability. So if I drop this here and I conduct an EDA, which stands for Exploratory Data Analysis on regional and product profitability, it should show, I wanted to start with a visualization as a scatter chart with a trend line for linear regression insights, including a correlation matrix and insights. And I'm telling it to take its time because it needs to take a breath. So let's see what this brings us back. So you can see I have a scatter plot chart and it's showing me the correlation. It has a really high correlation, so I might go check my data on that one. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It also gives me an R-squared value and the p-value, which helps me with statistical significance and etc. And it offers some recommendations. Now I could continue to do these different things and build some different analyses, but for the sake of time, let's move to how we're going to draft a narrative. So, and I have several prompts that you're welcome to leverage if you want to try this offline from this session. So the next thing is, let's say I wanted to do all my different analyses. I've run one, I might run several here. But after that, I say, based on these results, draft a narrative that I can share with my stakeholders. And it'll do it for me. And it's going to give me a narrative. It's going to show me some key findings. It'll continue to do that. So I have the different options here, and then it's showing me statistical significance, implications for strategy. And then as I continue to move through, it'll give me some next steps. What kind of things should I do next to do all this? Finally, what I can do is I can actually go ahead and before I go too far, I actually want it to show me the Python code that it's done so far. So I'm just going to ask it, hey, show me the Python code. And let's see what it brings back. So here's the Python code that does my regional profitability and analysis and to draft the narrative. Once it's done, I can copy it and use it in, say, a Jupyter notebook or like a snow park environment or something along those lines, something that will leverage Python. So it will tell me which libraries it's pulled in, give me how to create the linear regression, the scatter plot, and then it shows me the regional insights, etc. So I could do that for whatever it is I'm looking for. And then finally, what I would like to do is have it give me some recommendations or a call to action. And I could do that as my final step. Oops, I don't want the word prompt there. So I can summarize any recommendations or call to actions. And this is helping me build it. Now understand there's lots of other things you can do out here with the GenAI to be able to make this even a deeper analysis, to have different things to work into your tone, your type of environment. But in general, you can leverage a GPT to give you the breadcrumbs to get started, to ease some of the minute tasks that you would do. Hey, give me some suggestions. What do you think you would look at, et cetera, et cetera. So that all to say with our demo. Hold on, my mouse disappeared on me. Sorry. Some key takeaways from this is that GenAI is all about speed, quality, making data analytics easier for other folk, for everyone. So it can help us with some of the more minute tasks. Just be very careful about what type of data you're putting into a GPT tool. So it's a tool. It's not a magic wand. It's not, going to just do it all for you. Use it thoughtfully. Take your analytics to the next game here. Start small. Maybe try a pilot project to see how it fits into your workflow. So GenAI can do some of the heavy lifting, but in general, it really wants to help you get through all this. But you do need to check it. This still requires human intervention. So basically, AI is not going to replace humans, but humans without an AI will replace humans with AI will replace humans without an AI. So it is a new tool in our toolbox that we can be using to help with our data analytics flow. Prompt engineering does not require coding skills, but you do have to be at least some kind of have some expertise, at least in your business. And just an article that is here. So when you get a copy of your deck, that a recent survey by the McKinsey company found that globally, 72% of companies have adopted AI to drive growth, efficiency, and market share. And so that's really an important statistic that it's actually starting to grow. And our call to action here is, all right, so now that we know we can do things with this, what's next? First, try to find a small, low-risk project where you can make a difference, something with a quick win, and you can test it out with tools like a ChatGPT or something internal to your organization. Get your team involved. Don't forget to measure your success, because you want to be able to measure those things to show how well it worked or didn't work for you. Things like this, like time savings or how much easier it is for everyone to get insights into your different metrics. This is just the beginning. So once you see potential, you may want to continue to experiment and to continue to scale up. So hopefully this little brief 20-minute demo was helpful for you. If you have any further questions, we would love to hear from you. Please feel free to reach out to the Tech in Motion events. And when you get your deck, my LinkedIn is on my intro slide. You're welcome to connect as well. Thank you so much for joining today, and I appreciate your time.